Welcome to the Chris Hatcher Show, presented by Coca-Cola. This week, the Bulldogs had a bye week. Not an off week, as Coach Hatcher likes to talk about, but a bye week. And so we thought it would be a great idea with this edition of the Chris Hatcher Show to bring some Bulldog players in to get to know them a little bit better. So the goal is, for this show, we're going to have a defensive player and an offensive player. And we are privileged today to be joined by outside linebacker number 22, Nathan East. Now, full disclosure about Nathan, okay? I've known this guy most of his life. I've known him since he was an elementary school student. And Nathan, I remember at McAdory Middle School calling some of your games when you were a skinny quarterback.
Yes, sir. I looked more like you then.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't put that on you. Lord help you. But it's just been so incredible to watch you grow and to see how you've progressed in your ability to play football and you know, going from that middle school skinny little quarterback now playing outside linebacker for a Division I team. Talk about just your maturity as a football player and just where you've been and where you're at now.
Well, you know, in high school, I got to play a little both ways, so offense and defense. And like you said, I was skinny, so I was never really the linebacker size until more like junior year, which is when I got moved. And I kind of fell in love with defense then and was able to learn some of the instincts-related part of football and defense, and coming to Samford, being able to develop that more and more. So.
Yeah, I remember when Samford was looking at you and Coach and I were talking, and he knew that I knew you. Right. And I told him, I said, Coach, I'm going to tell you something about Nathan East. He's going to be where the ball is.
Yes, sir.
And you always have been that way,
yes,
a ball
sir.
hawk. You're going to be where the ball is. And I mean, that's important, you know, being there.
That's what Coach D talks about on defense all the time, 11 dogs, always running to the ball for every play. You never know. It could spill out of a tackle, and whoever could be there could save the day. Never know what play will win the games.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your season so far, Nathan. You're second on the team in tackles, 17 total tackles this season, 12 tackles against Tennessee Tech. And, you know, as you think about where you guys are at right now as a team defensively, I know that the season has probably not gone as you guys hoped it would, but as Coach likes to say, there's always next week to get things straightened out and right. So with you guys in your preparation for Wofford this week and what you're seeing on film, are you seeing some things on film, things that y'all know that you need to correct, things that you can make some adjustments?
Definitely. So there was times against Youngstown State and Tennessee Tech when, you know, some of the defense isn't on the same page. Relaying the calls has to improve, and once the play is made, you know, everybody running to the ball and really making tackles. We've been missing a lot of tackles. We've been diving too much. We got to stay on our feet and put our head on the ball carrier and get after the ball and complete tackles instead of expecting one guy to make it and other people jog and everybody run to the ball, expect to make the play. So.
As we think about preparing for Wofford, I mean, what do we know about Wofford? We know they're going to run the ball. We know that it's important to have eye discipline because of the option attack. What are some things y'all are seeing and watching film with Wofford?
So Wofford's always a very physical team on offense. Their linemen are always athletic. Like you said, they run the triple option, so we kind of tweak our defense a little bit. And it's important to know your assignment and perform your assignment and do your job, not try to do the other man's job, and trust each other that they're going to be there. Your teammate's going to be there to make the play when you do your job. So.
Yeah. Very good. Well, Nathan likes to hit running backs, but he also likes to hit the books.
Yes, sir.
And this guy has a 3.6 GPA, so talk about being a student athlete. I mean, certainly there's challenges being a student at Samford University, but being a student athlete has its own share of challenges.
Yes, sir. So it's not easy, it's hard, but really football, having that busy schedule, you don't really have time to procrastinate the studying. So after practice, you know you got to hit the book. So it's almost helpful to have that schedule, I guess. So go to class, go to meetings, go to practice, go eat dinner, and then you know you kind of have to study. So it's almost helpful. Yeah. It's a blessing in disguise, I guess.
Well, Nathan, it's been great to spend some time with you.
Sir,
we look forward to seeing number 22 make a lot of tackles this year, and we're grateful that you gave us some time today. And so we will come right back with Samford quarterback Chris Oladokin. Welcome back to the Chris Hatcher Show. Of course, we are joined by Samford quarterback number 2, Chris Oladokin. Chris, it's great to have you on our show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking time to be with us today. Chris, you came into the second half of the Youngstown game and really put on a display there in the second half and showing us your athletic ability and what you're capable of, and of course played the majority of the game against Tennessee Tech. Let me talk about that. What we're seeing so far from you this year: 26 for 34, 553 yards passing, 7 touchdowns in the air. You've also rushed for 64 yards with an additional 2 touchdowns, 9 total TDs, in which is essentially a game and a half. I mean, I think certainly you've got the attention of a lot of Samford fans. You're a 3-star coming out of high school in Tampa. In your prep career, over 5,000 total yards, 57 touchdowns. You commit to South Florida. You're there. Started 2 games to them last year. So I guess we're all kind of wondering, how do you end up at Samford University?
So being a Tampa kid growing up, it was sort of always a dream of mine to play for the hometown team. So coming out, committed there, stuck with it. I was committed for probably 2 years there. So it was a long time commitment. I was excited, very eager to get there. Got there, felt like I was in a good position. Coach Taggart ended up leaving. Coach Strong and his staff came in. I'm blessed to have played for both staffs. They're both great. I really appreciate it. But after last year, I ended up starting our last three out of our last 4 games last year, and thought I played well. Battled through some adversity. Sitting the bench for a couple years is pretty tough. So after that, when it came to after the bowl game, sort of sat down with my family and talked about what was the next step, if I wanted to stay at South Florida, if I wanted to go and look somewhere else. So I went to the famous transfer portal, where they call it like the QB portal at this point, just because so many quarterbacks enter there. And I've never been afraid of competition, so I knew regardless of where I stayed, I was going to have to compete to be a starter. So at that time, C.J. Bennett, he was a running backs coach here, and I had a long-time relationship with him. And his father was actually one of my quarterback coaches down in Tampa since I was 10, and ended up going to the same high school as CJ for my first 2.5 years. So that sort of relationship made me feel comfortable. Came up, took an official to Samford. That was my only official visit, and I made it official that night with Coach Hatcher. I told him I wanted to be a Samford Bulldog. So it's been great.
Well, it has to be exciting to play in what we call the Hatch Attack around here.
Yeah.
with Chris Hatcher's offense. I mean, the offense is really focused on the quarterback position. The offense depends on the quarterback to make plays both with the arm and with the feet. Talk about just the opportunity to play in an offense that's focused on the quarterback like that.
Well, it's exactly what I wanted. I even tuned into some Samford games last year to just see. I watched Duck and his success. So. Just being a part of it now, you see how much freedom Coach Hatch gives us in the offense, and what we do on the field. That's all ran through us. Making reads, checks, decisions, and all that. That's ran through us, and that's always a freedom that I've wanted playing quarterback. So to be here, it's a blessing. I have a great line in front of me. As we've seen, my receivers, they go out and make plays. So I really trust those guys, and I think I've really gotten their trust over the past 6 months that I've been here and been able to bond with those guys.
Yeah, you do have some good athletes to throw to and hand the ball to as well. Talk about some of those relationships with your receivers and your running back. I know with a new guy coming in the program, that relationship between quarterback and receivers especially is such a critical relationship. Talk about your relationship with those receivers and how that's developed.
Well, it's pretty funny because when I first signed here, the first person to text me was Chris Schelling. Hit me up on Instagram. He's like, we're glad to have you, man. He's like, pretty much like, let's go to work. So me and him, I'd probably say built a relationship first. We'd always in the off season go out and throw. Work on some little things with some checks and just different plays. And then we got guys like Robert Adams, one of the most athletic guys on the team, in my opinion. We have Jai, big receiver out there. Montrell's really come into his own, especially since I've been in here. He's a playmaker, really dynamic with the ball. Then, of course, AJ, we have the freshman that's really surprised me and done a lot of good things, especially at such a young age. Then you look at our running backs, DeMarcus Ware. He's explosive with the ball. He's good in pass pro, which I really appreciate. Keeps me a little clean. Antoine Sims, also another good running back we have. So I think we have all these pieces on offense, I may have all those stats, but that's really because of those guys. Those guys really make me successful in this offense.
And you're blessed to play behind a mature offensive line as well. It's got a lot of snaps.
Oh yeah, that offensive line. I just took him out for ice cream the other day just to let them know how much I appreciate them. You know, sat down with them and just getting to know those guys even better each and every day. Nick Nixon is one of my roommates, probably one of my better friends on the team. So you know, just loving up on those big guys. Those big guys always need love, and I just want to let them know that I appreciate them.
Talk about your Samford experience so far, not only on the field but also in the classroom.
It's been good. You know, it was different when I first got here. I went to a school of 65,000 people at USF to come to a small school like Samford. You know, 5,000 people. My high school is almost as big as that. So that was a little different for me at first. And, you know, of course, this is top-notch academic school, and USF was as well, but not at this extent. So, you know, I got to put in more hours studying, you know, looking over my books and things like that. But the people here, one thing I always tell people back home is so nice here. You know, Southern hospitality here. You know, it's really good to be a Samford Bulldog.
Well, we hope the best for you and your teammates as we open up conference play on the road against the Wofford Terriers. Chris, good luck to you, good luck to Nathan, and good luck to our Samford Bulldogs. And that'll do it for this week's edition of the Chris Hatcher Show, presented by Coca-Cola.